Okay, today's topic will be the SQL Server's temporary table and the table variables. I will try to give you guys some introduction to what is temporary table and what is table variables, and introduce some tool you can use to evaluate what is a good way to using table variable or temporary tables. Okay. So first, the temporary table, we have two kinds of temporary table. One is a local temporary table, and the other one is global temporary table. Okay, if you guys have any question, you can stop me anytime, ask a question. Okay. So the local temporary table is when you create a temporary table, for example, in store procedure, it will on the disk, and it's in temporary DB. This is a system database in the SQL Server. It's a temporary database. Okay, and it's visible only to the current scope, like for example, like a store procedure. Okay, if you create a temporary table in a store procedure, then if the temporary table finished, then the temporary table will gone. Okay, then there is another one called global temporary table. It's also on the disk, and it's also in a temporary DB database in the SQL Server. But it's visible for all sessions. So that means if you create a temporary table, then all of the user, all of the session can use this temporary table and they can see this temporary table. Okay. Then let's see the local temporary table. The syntax to create a local temporary table is using create, just like you create a normal table. In the store procedure, you can just use this syntax to create a temporary table called people. Okay. Then another way to create a temporary table, you don't have to use the create statement. You can directly use this statement to directly create a temporary table with this schema, ID and name, and the data come from the employee. Okay, so you don't even have to have a create statement in the store procedure. You can directly use this one, and then directly create temporary table in the store procedure. Then of course you can drop it, use the drop table syntax. Okay, but I read some article and it says try not to use this way to create a temporary table in the store procedure. Always use create table syntax, use create table statement, then use the select, update, or insert, then to put the data into a temporary table. The reason the article say is because this statement, if you use this statement to create a temporary table, it will lock the employees table until the temporary table is created. So it will use more resource to create this table. Yep. Then actually the same thing for global temporary table. The syntax is the same. Then the only difference thing is you have to use a double pound sign to create a global temporary table. That's all. The other stuff is all the same. Okay. Then actually the same thing for local temporary table. I forgot to mention this. If you create a temporary table in a store procedure, then you don't have to drop the table at the end of the store procedure. It will, after the store procedure finish, the temporary table will come. Okay, yeah, I think I mentioned this. I'm sorry. So you don't have to drop the table. You can just leave it there. Then the end of store procedure you will come. Okay. Then the next one is the table variables. The table variables is a little bit different from the temporary table. When you create a table variable, it's in memory. It's not in a physical disk. It won't occupy the hard drive space. Of course, if like the exception is if the memory, you know, do the page in, page out, okay, that's a different story. Then the performance is slightly better than the local temporary table. And it will automatically cleared when the procedure or function goes out of scope.
Okay. I have a question.
Yes.
Can you define a static table variable?
No. In the T-SQL, the SQL Server T-SQL, I don't think you can declare it as a static variable. Yeah. Then the different thing from the table variable and the temporary table, this is one of the different things. In a user-defined function, you only can allow the table variable. You cannot create temporary table in a user-defined function. Okay, so if you want to create your own function, then you want to use a table variable, or you want to consider use table or anything, you know, you have to use a table variable. Okay. Okay. Table variables. So when you create table variables, it will be in the memory, not on a disk, and the performance is a little bit better than local temporary table. But most of the time we will use the local temporary table, and I will explain why later. Okay. Then the same thing, you can it will automatically you know, cleared when the procedure or function goes out of scope. But the thing is, the table variable, you cannot, you know, drop it. When you finish it, then you are not able to drop it or, you know, make it go away. Okay. Then this is a syntax for table variable. Basically, in a T-SQL, you want to declare a variable, you have to use declare, then, you know, use at, then variable name. Then after that is a data type. So for this variable, the data type is a table. Then you define the, you know, the column name. Okay, it's just like you declare the other variables. Okay, then there are some limitations for table variables. You know, you cannot truncate, you cannot drop a table variable. Okay, and the table variable it cannot be altered. Yes.
You have questions?
Yes, go ahead.
Why would you want to drop the table variable?
For sometimes what you want to do is when you finish to use it, you want to drop it to release a resource in the store procedure.
But if you clear it out though, it's not going to take that much resources, right?
That's true. Yeah, you can do that definitely. Yeah. You can, you know, say to no, yeah. Then, you know, it will release the resource. Okay. Then the table variable, it cannot be altered. For example, you want to add a new column into a table variable, you are not allowed to do that. Okay. And if you want to create an index, then table variable, you cannot create index on a table variable. And okay, that's one is you cannot drop a table variable when it is no longer necessary. And there are some limitations for table variables, but I didn't, you know, include it in here. You can, if you guys want to know more about this one, you can go online to search. There are plenty of articles talk about table variables.